What's up, deviants? Welcome back to the Naughty Corner. This is Court is in session. We are coming at you from Wanneroo country, and we're back with guest host Ben.
Hi.
We are going to get started with some fair call, mate. I divorced my wife because she wanted to live her life, but expected me to wait around for her while she did it.
Next thing you know, she's going to be asking you to fund it as well. It's usually how these things go.
Since 1999, my spouse and I have shared a marital journey that officially began in 2001. I consider myself exceptionally fortunate to be married to someone who possesses unparalleled intelligence, thoughtfulness, care, and loyalty. Throughout our union, she has consistently demonstrated these qualities, earning admiration from those around her for enduring aesthetic beauty. Notably, despite compliments from other men, she has always remained steadfastly devoted to our relationship. Earlier this year, she faced a health challenge when diagnosed with stage 1 uterine cancer, leading to a full hysterectomy. Remarkably, my concerns about the cancer were alleviated as it was detected early, promptly addressed, and she made a complete recovery. During her post-surgery recovery, I took time off to work to provide support, and everything appeared to be progressing positively. While there were expected emotional moments on her part, we navigated them together, despite my generally non-emotional disposition. Post-recovery, she expressed a fervent desire for us to embrace life to the fullest. This led to a 10-day European adventure followed by a trip to Belize, with plans for additional travels to the UK and Spain, Portugal later this year. I wholeheartedly embrace these experiences as opportunities to create lasting memories and tick off our bucket list adventures. Recognizing that these pursuits were driven by her newfound sense of vulnerability, I supported her decision to also explore activities such as yoga, swimming, and healthy cooking classes. However, my acceptance was tested last week, and I find myself grappling with a shift in dynamics or expectations. A one-time opportunity for her to sleep with someone else besides me. She said that since her cancer diagnosis, her outlook on life has changed, and she doesn't want to be handcuffed from doing things she wants to do. She explained that there is this guy at her work that she has always had some attraction to. He is leaving the company and she'll never see him again, so this is the perfect opportunity to sleep with someone else. She said that I could say no, of course, but that she would be mad, disappointed at me for an indeterminate amount of time, and that it would be confirmation of my male toxicity and insecurity. I don't consider myself to be toxic, and if not wanting your wife of 20 plus years to have to sleep with someone else is insecure, then I guess I am insecure. I told her that I appreciated her talking to me about this, but approval via coercion is not approval. I also mentioned that I don't appreciate her choice of language when describing my, as of yet, unknown reaction to this significant issue that could potentially impact the rest of our marriage and life. I got up in the morning. She basically said that she was sorry for putting such a large decision solely on my shoulders, and that to help, she was taking the decision away from me. She booked a hotel near where her co-workers are having a party/send-off for this guy, and she would spend the night there with him and hoped that I would be here when she got back. That she would answer any questions I have about the night after it happened, but not before. She will not tell me who he is or anything about him because she knows me too well, and that I will dwell and obsess over him, and that it would make it too real for me. Her point of view is that the less I know, the better, which contradicts the offer to tell me anything I want to know after it happened. I think she knows I won't want to know/ask anything, or she simply will not tell me. Part of me thinks at least that she has been honest with me, and she has been through a lot since finding out she had cancer, so maybe I should just let it happen. I certainly have no concept of what she went through, so I cannot dismiss how this affected her mental state/outlook on life. Part of me wants to put my foot down and say this is not going to happen and deal with those consequences when they happen. Her best friend called me callous for even suggesting that I wouldn't let it happen because I have no idea what she went through. I find it hard to believe that she is okay with the possibility of throwing away 20 plus years of marriage over some guy that she has no relationship with outside of work, and that I should just call her bluff. Maybe she thinks similarly that I won't throw away the marriage because of one encounter. I just don't know what to do. I empathize with her, and then an instant later, I am angry with her. Part of me wants to know who this guy is. What does he look like? What has he got that is so enthralling for her? Is he just a safe option? Is he married? Does his wife know? Would I be wrong for saying no? What can I do besides walking away?
Cancer does not excuse being a cunt, because if you are telling somebody, hey, by the end of that, she doesn't care what his opinion on the matter is. She's cheating on him either way, which don't come back. if you're going to decide that it's going to be okay for you to sleep with somebody else, or even more to the point, she's not deciding it's going to be okay, doesn't care that it's not going to be. You don't need that in your life. And that's a level of negativity that should not be excused because they had cancer. It reminds me of playing D&D with the blind kid. So I used to run Adventurers League, which is casual D&D with a bunch of random people. And at one of them, there was a kid who was, I believe, like 99% blind and had done some amazing things for the blind community. He had essentially made a digitized version of the player's handbook that would be able to be listened to at extremely high speed so that he could find the spot that he wanted for his character. And because he was blind and a activist for his group, he thought he could be an asshole to everyone else. And it's like, no. Having a disability...
Technically you can. It's just...
Sorry, he thought it would
like
let him get away with it.
Yeah, your whole freedom of speech thing. Like,
yeah,
it's not freedom from consequences.
Technically, you can be as much of an asshole as you want, but it will not stop somebody from jumping you in the car park later. Regardless of if she actually sleeps with the guy or not, he should leave her. Because she's either going to be she has so little regard for his opinion on the matter and him in general that he should leave her for that, or half of me, with all of these Reddit stories at this point, thinks it's going to turn out to have been a test. And if it turns out it's a test, you don't need that negativity. If anyone tests your relationship with shit like this, let them
The
let you
cancer was
lose.
never real.
No, not the cancer.
No.
If somebody fakes the cancer, that person can also meet people in the car park.
I'll fucking strap you to the hood of my car in this Australian summer and give you cancer.
They'll end up fried.
No, pretty much. Like, I get the whole reawakening of yourself when you have a near-death experience. But if that is leading you to places that are inherently incompatible with the relationship you're in, then the response is not to coerce that person into accepting that fact so you can have your cake and eat it too by doing whatever the fuck you want, but keeping the safety of that relationship. I am fundamentally not the same person I was going into this, and this is what I'm wanting to do. I get it if you're not okay with that, but if that's the case, we've reached the natural conclusion of our relationship.
And that is very different to, I'm going to sleep with my coworker whether you like it or not.
Yeah, well, initially, it was like when she said, this is what I'm doing, and I hope you're here when I get back. Like, accepting that he may not be okay with that, and if that's the decision he chooses to make, fair enough. But then it's the backflipping of expecting him to still be sticking around after the fact.
It is very much you are now prioritizing yourself over this person, but still wanting this person to prioritize you over themselves.
Yeah.
And prioritizing yourself, completely understandable. Hurting other people on the way, not so much.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what makes a healthy relationship. You prioritize what needs to be prioritized at the time, and that, just like, the load in managing a home and taking care of kids, it's a give and take. Like, it's 100 on both sides. It's not a 90-10. It's not a 50-50 split. It's everyone gives what they can at the time they can. And that can often mean when someone gets super busy at work or hits a wall or gets sick, then they can step back and the other person ramps up, and vice versa. And that's what makes our setup so effective, that we can always have the time to prioritize ourselves when we need to, because we know the other one's got shit sorted. It's all well and good for her to be prioritizing herself. If what that looks like is, again, not compatible with the relationship that they have, then he's not her person anymore, and that has to be okay.
It does also remind me, in a weird way, of another thing I read a while ago that was, or maybe it was a story I listened to. It was a couple whose situation was, whenever they wanted to do something, but they wanted to do different things, each of them would give a rating of 1 to 10 over how important that thing was to them. And it was just an understood thing that whoever thought that their thing was more important at the time, and it takes an amazing level of self-knowledge and self-respect and respect for your partner to be able to do this properly.
And like transparency
Yeah.
and honesty.
Whoever's thing actually was considered more important, that's the one they went with. So like, if this woman wanted to sleep with this guy 50% and the husband wanted her not to 100%, then by that system, they'd be like, cool, this is obviously more important to you that this doesn't happen. Like, not.
Yeah, I feel like this kind of stuff is closer to a conflict in a relationship where it's like having kids versus not having
Yeah.
kids. Like there isn't really room for compromise.
I know. It's just what it was reminding me of.
Yeah. Update 1. It has been an exhausting couple of days, hoping that my opposition to her plans would give her pause, but unfortunately that did not happen. I said, I am a hard no, and I am not sure how I will feel about you if you go ahead with it. I was met once again with, this is for me, it will be one time, what can I say to help you deal with it? You'll get over it. We were meant to be, regardless of the situation. Remarks leading up to Saturday. She left Saturday ostensibly to meet her co-workers, but in reality to sleep with the guy. I asked her to text me when she was leaving for the bar, and when she did, I asked her if she was really going to go through with this. After her response, I am not answering any more questions tonight, I will see you tomorrow, I blocked my wife. Then I did something either stupid or brilliant. I went to the bar where the get-together was happening. Well, not the bar, but a transit bench across the street. I waited for a long time. It was running through my mind, the leading up to this event, that I need to know who this guy was, maybe to compare myself against him, to see what he had that I do not. It was driving me crazy not knowing who he was and what was so special about him that she would ruin a marriage for. After what seemed like an eternity, a woman that I recognized from my wife's office left the bar and got in a cab. Soon, other people started filing out, and a whole group came out, and people were hugging a man and shaking his hand. I had my guy. I didn't see my wife and had a brief thought that maybe she called it off. I unblocked her and there were no messages. Everyone said their goodbyes and left. The dude was standing outside for a few minutes and then my wife came out. She looked around, took his hand, and started walking away together. All of the emotions I went through, trepidation, sadness, anger, it was disgust that really encapsulated the event for me. This guy was short, fat, and bald, all the things I cannot compete with. Ultimately, I felt like a pervert for watching from a distance. I followed until they got to the hotel and then turned around and went home. I woke up Sunday morning and put a lock on the master bedroom door. I moved her things to the spare room and left a note asking her to find other accommodations as quickly as possible. I visited another friend who is a lawyer, and he gave me some sage advice and a couple of recommendations for divorce attorneys and made the introductions. My wife had been calling me numerous times since around 11 or so. Once blocked, the calls go to voicemail. I listened to the first couple, but felt nothing but some satisfaction when she couldn't get through to me, and she was obviously becoming concerned. I didn't want to go home, but I left in such a hurry that I didn't plan an overnight properly. I got home around 9, and as per my buddy's advice, I recorded the interaction. I was halfway up the stairs when she came up from the family room asking what was going on. Could we talk? I thought we talked about this. I just answered with, I'm not interested in discussing this tonight, and went to bed. After not getting a response from me through the door, she left me alone. I feel kind of like a child for not talking with her and shutting the door on her, but I just couldn't look at her. Monday, I got up and ready for work. She was waiting for me and asked if we could discuss getting back to normal. I said, you have been doing all the talking for the both of us for the last week. Why don't you continue? And left for work. I have an appointment with the attorneys my friend recommended for this week. Edit. Once the dust settled, I realized that I was desperate to hold on to something that no longer existed. I have initiated divorce proceedings. She has regret, not remorse. Of course, those are different things with different meanings. She regrets what has happened because her life is now upside down. Someone in a private message asked if her cancer could be back and spread to her brain, which I don't know if it has actually happened or not, but I doubt it would make any difference to me at this point. I just don't see her the same way anymore. I told all of her friends' husbands about how they enabled this behavior, and the fallout is interesting.
It'd be funny if it was all with George Costanza. I'm sorry, you said a short, bald, fat guy? That's where my mind went?
Yeah, it's the entitlement for me. Yes, you made your choice. You were specifically saying that he had his choice, and now you're saying that you're just expecting all of this to go away. Like, no, bitch, you did this with your whole pussy. Now say it with your whole fucking chest. Take it, whatever it comes. Like, this was the choice you made.
Yeah, and also, like, if you are going to decide to bang somebody else, don't do it with the short, fat guy. But also, like, don't do it with anyone. But also, like,
Why not?
I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Like,
No, if you're going to go out and cheat on your partner, then you really need to be ready to pack your shit and leave. This woman was lucky that it was a lock put on the door of the bedroom, not the locks changed out the front. Though I know that would be a whole legal ramification of it in and of itself. I wouldn't still be in that house if I was that guy.
nah. See, that's the thing. Like, it can be, you can get sued for illegal eviction if he fully kicked her out, but he could also lose like a share of the house if he left. So, like, remaining within the home when it's a marital asset during divorce proceedings can make a difference.
In that case,
Gotta be smart.
the first thing being removed from that house would be that bed. Because, like, even if the cheating has happened in another bed, I'm not saying sleeping in my marital bed. I know. To be fair, he didn't.
So it's fine because it was me.
You're not the one that was cheated on. What I'm saying is, if I found out my partner had cheated on
I
me,
also didn't cheat.
no, neither did I. But if I found out my partner had cheated on me, I would be removing the marital bed as quickly as I could and replacing it if I'm staying in the same place. Hell, even if I'm just getting a mattress on the fucking floor, I'm not sleeping in that bed anymore.
I feel like the mattress is the essence of the bed.
That's what I'm saying. I could get a new mattress and just put it on the floor rather than...
What did the bed frame do?
I wouldn't want any kind of reminder.
I do not know what this bitch was expecting.
Also, if cancer has come back to her brain, I'm sorry, I'm still not staying with somebody that just cheated on me.
Well, I mean, that very much depends. There are instances of...
Radical personality shifts because of tumors?
Yeah, like that one guy that went full religious nut job and was like trying to exercise his kids and stuff. And they found the tumor and they got rid of it, but it's like having syphilis too long. Like the parts of the brain that had been impacted were never repairing. Even though the tumor was gone, that was still him now.
And I'm sorry, but even if I found out it was caused by a tumor, I wouldn't be able to look at her again. Not the same way.
I get that. I'm just saying, like, if that was you and that was the case, like, I'd probably always be questioning whether or not
It was me or if it was a tumor?
Yeah, but I'd still stick around.
Fair.
I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm not saying.
I'm just... I can't agree.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
Update
2. My lawyer wasn't available for a few days, so I was faced with the reality of having to live with my wife in the interim. I really didn't want to go home and have any discussion, let alone a discussion about our relationship. When I did get home, I was basically ambushed by her friends and my mother-in-law. Instead of taking the remorseful approach, they decided that a full court press was what the situation warranted, and I was basically berated by them. The best friend of my ex-wife was definitely the ringleader, but all of them decided to say such things as, "She's been through a lot. You don't know what she's been through. You have no idea what it is to face something like this.
I know
It was a
that
one-time
ugly
thing.
guy has gone through her.
At least she told you she could have hidden it from you. She will never see the guy again. And my favorite, you are wrong for what you've been putting her through these last couple of days." I listened with a foolish grin on my face, and then there was a lull in their fury. I asked,
How are your husbands going? I thought you guys weren't meant to be in contact with each other anymore. Especially not this bitch.
if they were all done now. Then I asked my wife if there was anyone in her circle of friends or anyone else that she forgot to tell about this. I quietly informed all of them that I was going to sit down with their husbands and tell them about how they verbally mistreated me, shamed me, and trying to coerce me into staying with the betrayer. After I told them to leave, I said that I had no say in the entire event, and so they have no say in whether I stay or not. My ex-wife sort of apologized. She said that she regretted the entire thing. I said there is a difference between regret and remorse. You regret what happened because of the cause and effect. You feel regret because your life will never be the same. Our relationship is forever altered because you were entirely and willfully unconcerned about me and what I wanted. She asked if I had any questions that she would answer them now, no matter how disturbing. I said that the one question I do have is why. Not necessarily why this guy, why this low-end, unattractive, unfit guy, but why someone else in the first place. She said that the cancer scared her to her core. She felt like she was rushing towards mortality and stepping out of that tunnel was appealing. She said that after all this time of being a wife and mother and worrying about family, this was something just for her, an escape. The guy was just someone who was interested in her for a long time, she knew wouldn't say no, and was the complete opposite of me. I said if I was going to risk my marriage, the woman would have to be a serious upgrade from you. I told her that I saw you and him coming out of the bar that night. I watched you walk away from the bar hand in hand towards the hotel. I said that you looked too familiar with each other and asked if there was something going on before all this. She said no, but who knows if that is the truth or not. I said that after all our years together, your lack of respect for me was astonishing. I finished by saying that I would never be able to look at myself in the mirror again if I condoned that level of disrespect and stayed with you. I said I hope we can go our separate ways amicably and that I have an appointment with a lawyer later in the week. I asked again for her to find other accommodations, and she simply said, I'm not going anywhere. We are not getting a divorce. I will give you all the time you need and do whatever you need to recover from this. We will get past this. She has asked me to go to marriage counselling, which I refused. Why would I go to counselling? I did nothing to warrant needing a therapist's advice. So I had her served and gave her a notice to vacate. The house is my premarital asset. She has moved in with her mum, but I find her constantly coming by to see if I need anything or making suggestions like, what if we had an open relationship, which seems kind of desperate and pathetic.
A bit late.
Rebuffing her constantly and telling her that she has to call to ask permission before coming by, and finally seems to be getting through to her that there will be no us going forward. She has said that she will drag the divorce out for as long as possible, but so far she has been compliant. The worst part of all this is telling my daughter that we are getting a divorce and why. Following close by her begging me to give her mum another chance. I'm not sure I would have been afforded the same consideration if I was the one who was unfaithful. Edit. From what I now know, all of her friends have cut her off. They're trying to save their own marriages, that they are turning on each other. She was stoic and held her position right up until she was served. Plenty of tears, begging and bargaining after the fact. But that may be just optics. Maybe she fell out of love and is now regretting her new station in life. She's an attractive woman. She will have plenty of men willing to date her, but I won't be one of them.
So, just the other guys need to say nothing to their wives. Just let them spew all of the information about each other. And then when they've collected enough evidence, mass divorce compound. Well,
Like for them or for the
yes,
wives?
for them. Fuck the wives. The wives can go to wherever the fuck they want. All of the guys should just move in together, have bro house. Because
But they could just have their houses.
I know, but then they would have a built-in support network. But also bro house. But no, this is insane. Like, it's terrible that this is how it usually is going to work when everyone is just jumping on the person that was the victim in the situation. There's always somebody else in the group that has done the exact same thing in these stories.
I just can't get past the, like, I was just wandering around in the middle of the street and then I got hit by a car. I don't know how this happened.
I was just walking around in the middle of the street, and then I ended up with a dick in me. To be fair, if that is the case, I would be wondering how it happened too.
Yeah, and just like with these women with these mass divorces, like, fucking good. Like, if they may be trying to save their marriages, maybe they can't. If this is more of the same shit that's happening with these other women, like, I get if that was the outcome, and honestly that shows a lot of integrity in those men, because it's oh, well, they didn't do anything wrong to me, or it's like, yes, they did those bad things, but I don't do those bad things. I'm just there and I'm like just listening for the gossip. Like, no. 10 Nazis at a table and someone sits with them, there are 11 Nazis at a table. You are the company you keep. If you tolerate that kind of shit in your friends, you're just as bad.
But also, from the way this seems, it's not even a 10 Nazis and one more sits down. It's we're dealing with 7 secret Nazis. all of them are now telling their husbands that all of the other people in their group are doing it. And that's happening from each perspective.
Well, we don't know that that's what's going on. We just know that some shady shit is going down.
Yes, but he did say that they all started ratting on each other. And unless they're all lying about each other, in which case, why? Then they're all, at least a fair few of them are doing the same thing or other dodgy things. At which point, mass divorce, bro house.
Update 3. We're in the process of getting a divorce. However, where we live, we must be legally separated for 1 year. This could be Australia. My ex-wife has said that she will give me whatever I want in the divorce if I agree to attend marriage counselling, but I am not interested. There was a bit of back and forth while we worked out what separation looks like in everyday life from this point forward. As a result, we have only just agreed to the confines of the legal separation. So as we move towards defining the divorce language, maybe my stance may change. The house was a premarital asset, so she has no claim to it. The only things she could go after are my pension, vehicles, and vacation property. But I would counter that she has lived rent-free for 20 plus years and has her own money plus inheritance from her father. I may have to offer a top-up in retirement as she was a stay-at-home mum while our daughter was young, but that would be the most at this point. I received a lot of messages about her friend group and my daughter, so I will clear up any misconceptions now.
How old's the daughter?
My daughter isn't taking her mum's side. She has always been a mama's girl, but she's very unhappy with her mum right now. Her initial reaction was just shock and held out hope that we would work through any issues and stay together. Now she accepts that is not going to happen. She has been limiting her interactions with her, but at the end of the day, she is still her mum. The friend group husbands were upset at the level of complicity of their wives in aiding and abetting the contact and made them cut off my wife, but that seems to have been forgotten at this point. The best friend was the ringleader and seems to have taken perverse pleasure in actively creating scenarios where they would be in contact, at the very least encouraging to the point of causing her husband to question her motives. It turns out she didn't like me at all, and this was her way of sticking it to me. I guess she wins. The best friend's husband said there was some texting in his wife's messages, but said he is dealing with it. We did meet up with him, being apologetic for his wife's actions, but it is not his fault. I have decided not to date anyone for a while. I will not be getting married again. That's it. I doubt I will post again unless she wins the lottery and I find it in my heart to forgive her.
Yeah, I want to know more than anything else how old his daughter is.
Yeah, we did not get that information.
Like that, the initial response from her seems like a very small child response, but I suppose now she's taking a much more mature look on it, so maybe older than originally thought. Disappointed that there's no bro house.
We don't know that there isn't.
The men all essentially forgave their wives, and now their wives are now speaking to his ex again.
I feel like I am just playing pretend. This is from the subreddit Ask Men Over 30.
Didn't realize you'd started reading another story for a second then.
I should probably introduce them, hey?
Probably.
Hi, I'm turning 31 in 2 weeks. The boy I knew at age 18 to 25 isn't much different from who I am right now. A little less fit, but my life is basically the same with more responsibility. I always thought that entering adulthood would feel like I'm an adult. I can say I am, but that doesn't change much. Is this feeling relatable? Do I one day wake up and go, I'm an adult now? I do feel my arguments are better formed than they used to be. I am matured in a sense that I behave better in working scenarios, but I am essentially the exact same person. I'm kind of pretending to be an adult, but you might as well put me in a group of 20-year-olds and I would blend in just like I normally would, except it would just feel weird now where in the back of my head I would just go, they probably think, what's Grandpa doing here? Perhaps I'm just naturally a bit of a slow grower. I still play MapleStory and World of Warcraft just like I did in 2005. I still like colouring books to quiet my never-ending thoughts, and I still place a lot of value in aesthetics. Are we all playing pretend here, or am I just slow to grow into adulthood?
Yes, we're all playing pretend.
Yeah. And very often I had this conversation with super anxious teens. They're like, when does it go away? At what point? Like,
it never goes away.
Yeah, do adults feel like this? And I'm like, no, literally every single one of us are lying to you. Right down to your parents. If they act like they have their shit together, either they have enough money to be able to outsource a lot of basic everyday living in order to be okay, or they're not fucking okay. Everyone is just living and learning every single day how to get to the next fucking day, and we're all hanging by a thread. None of us know what's going on. We're just doing the best we can.
And the people that seem like they have it the best together, listen to their recycling bin when it goes out. I'm sure you'll hear clink, 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 clink. But, first of all, there's nothing wrong with playing MapleStory and World of Warcraft when you're in your 30s. Who cares? You grew up with that shit. There's nothing wrong with doing colouring books in your 30s. It's therapeutic. They make colouring books for adults nowadays. They've made them for the better part of a decade, to my knowledge. But also, if you like doing kids' colouring books, okay, do kids' colouring books. I feel like the people that are faking it the least are the weird-looking people. I have to fake being adult while I'm at work. Because if I sat around and spoke the way I want to at work, then there would be some kindergarten kids that would be swearing their asses off because they heard their SLSO swearing his ass off at class. And that's why I won't work with my kids.
I hear it enough at home.
But to be fair, most of the kids I work with also hear it enough at home. It's not from me.
Key comments. That's exactly it. Being an adult is mostly practice. Your brain is fit for being an adult once you turn 14 or 15. It's the decades of practice afterwards that make you indistinguishable from a real adult. No.
First of all, your brain hasn't fully developed until you're in your 20s.
like mostly I get the point that you're saying, but 14 or 15, no. That's some pedophile logic. No, that's not how that works.
Also, all it is using lived experience to be able to bridge the gaps. Like, I like to say, I am not a very knowledgeable person, but if you give me 2 points that are a fair distance apart from each other, I can put 2 and 2 together, even when 2 and 2 is actually 73 and 20. And that's the real thing about being an adult. You just need to work out how to bridge the gaps in every scenario so it looks like you've got a full bridge and not the rickety thing that was falling apart in Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, it's like at 26, I left a relationship I'd been in for over 10 years, and I was still the 15-year-old I was going into it because I'd had no growth. There was no life experience for me to draw on. So I had to figure shit out really fast because at that point I already had my son. The stakes were very high.
Please don't say you felt like you were 15 when that happened, because we started dating almost immediately after that, and that makes me seem real creepy.
If anything, it was those initial experiences that what aged me so rapidly. Like I grew a period of a decade in a month because I had to figure it out, and I had the opportunity to because I was allowed outside.
Also, we apologize to everyone who can hear Michelin going off in the background.
Did you name our drain frog?
Of course I did. Every frog is Michelin. And every frog has the capability to be singing Hello, My Baby. They just don't want you to know it.
Yeah, this isn't simply true. The brain develops to about 25 years old. The big mental shifts come with extra responsibility, in my experience. Buying a house, taking in more responsibility at work, getting married, and especially having kids. These are all the things that made me feel incrementally more adult. Spoiler alert, there are no real adults. I'm soon to be 43. I'm at an age that I can clearly remember my dad being, and I always remember thinking he had everything together. Turns out he didn't feel like this at all. He had 3 kids, a mortgage, a high-pressure job, and he felt like he was behind in life compared to his peers. I've never been 43 before, and I'm very aware that aging will start to happen rapidly in the next few years. I'm not ready to look and feel old. In my head, I'm still 30 with plenty of time to get my shit together. I own a house, a couple of cars, a kid at high school. To all intents and purposes, I tick the boxes for being an adult and having my shit together, but I still find myself looking for the more adultier adult in certain situations. Likewise, my mum has never been 71 before. She's never had kids in their 40s before, despite the fact that she is my mum and I'd view her as an adult. She is still navigating the unknown and learning as she goes. I'm pretty sure she does not view herself as an adult because she needs some help around the home these days and has to ask how to use her new TV, etc. What's important is to understand that we're almost always getting into uncharted territory and we can only rely on past experience to inform our decisions and reactions. Very few people actually feel like adults, in my experience. Also, let's factor in the fact that your generation and mine are generally hitting the adult milestones later than our parents did. It's harder to buy a house, and because of that delay in moving out, people are getting married and having kids later in life. So I think it's harder to feel like an adult when you're probably 8 to 10 years behind where your parents were. Valid.
Very valid. But also, owning a house doesn't make you an adult. I would
No,
say
it's the added responsibility that comes with owning a house, like having to control all of your space and having to do all of the land rates and the insurance and the mortgage documents and all of those things that you physically have to learn in order to physically do that gives you a sense of being more adult.
I get that, but you can have a lot of responsibility, even just in your home life, added to you without ever having to own a house. Like, I would say the part of my life where I started adulting wasn't when I moved out of home, because I lived in several houses before I left my hometown. It wasn't when I left to go to uni, because by that point I was 23, I want to say. It was being homeless and living in a backpackers that did it. Because it was literally, all right, I need to do the things to survive. Whereas, not really things I think of at this point. Because if I go to work, I make my money, and yes, that does help me survive, but it doesn't seem like an absolute critical thing anymore. Whereas
You're
back
Yeah,
then,
you're
it's not even a you thing. There was a point where I once found $2 on the side of a road. That gave me 4 days worth of food. And when you're in that
Not gonna
situation,
happen now. Not with cost of living.
no, but it'd still give me $2 would still give me enough food to get me by for a solid 2 days. Mind you, I was eating entirely noodle diet at that point. I worked out that I could make a good, relatively healthy, high-calorie meal with frozen vegetables, noodles, and cans of tuna, which, I mean, the noodles aren't great for you. The rest of it, decently healthy, well-balanced meal. Can't do eggs anymore because that shit's expensive. But I was also at the point where this is the stage of my life where I walked out of shoes. Like, I was walking.
When you wore shoes.
I've always hated wearing shoes. But when I'm walking long distances on the side of a road, I have to wear something on my feet. But one day I was walking home from the shops because I walked an extra 25 minutes to get to the shops where I could buy 5 packs of noodles that were 10 cents cheaper because you have to do what you got to do. My shoes broke while I was walking, and they broke in a way that I just kept on walking and left my shoes on the side of the road because there's no point in me picking them up. I'm not going to be able to fix this. Luckily, I did have a backup pair of shoes at home because I could wear them to work at this point. Because mind you, even after I started working when I was living in Coffs Harbour, I still acted like that. And that's how in the space of 2 months I managed to save $5,000. Being put into situations where the stakes are higher, I feel like is the real thing that pushes you to adult. Sometimes you can be in high pressure situations, but they're relatively low stakes. They might not feel like it at the time, but in hindsight, you can look at them and be like, yeah, no, that was just a hard part of my life, and this would have been fine. Like year 10 exams. Year 10 exams when you're in year 10 feel like the biggest thing in the world. You used to feel even worse because that was our school certificate, and we could leave school after that. Terrible idea, but you could. Unless you actually had employment or an apprenticeship or something like that lined up. But in reality, if you're planning on finishing school, then your year 10 exams don't really matter. And if you're not planning on finishing school, then your year 10 exams really don't matter. As long as you've actually set yourself up.
Yeah, I have to tell HSC kids exactly the same thing. I borderline failed my
I did fail.
HSC. 10 years later, it didn't fucking matter. 2 years later, it didn't matter.
10 years later, you were teaching people who were doing the HSC.
It's just 10 years later, I was halfway through a PhD. Like, it did not, like, none of it matters. There are, like, the purpose of the HSC at the end of the day is literally to give you access to a specific uni course that you want.
And then you don't need to go that way about it.
Exactly, because there are, like, There is one front door into uni. There are like 10 back doors and multiple windows open. Like, it genuinely does not matter.
And some unis prefer you to take the back door.
Yeah, because basically that life experience makes you more likely to succeed, and that makes their numbers look better.
I was more thinking UNE. UNE has, it's more less the back door and more like you're just getting teleported into the house because they have their early admission program. So you don't even need to finish your HSC. You can be under the age of 18. You can have no life experience, and you can still get into your courses at UNE through it. Or at the very least, they used to do it. I don't know if they still do. It's been a while since I was at UNE.
They were still doing it a couple of years ago.
Fair enough. We've got enough topic.